What's going on, guys? I'm the FPL Chairman and welcome to my Game Week 3 team selection. It was a relatively low scoring week across the board for FPL. A lot of teams that were back to score major points didn't really deliver on that. You look at the fixtures on the left, we had Man United, so people who had multiple United assets didn't perform, didn't do well. A lot of Haaland captainers for City's 1-0 win against Newcastle, which didn't deliver the points that were expected. Chelsea obviously had the shock loss to West Ham 3-1, and then Arsenal only managed to get a 1-0 victory at Palace. So overall, very low scoring, a lot of people burnt. I saw a lot of low averages this week. So a game week to put behind us and move forward. The team of the week also highlighted how successful budget options have been. The likes of March and Mbeumo, Mitoma, even Leon Bailey as well, all picking up double-digit returns, which is phenomenal. So none of the major high-priced assets delivering for FPL managers this week. So one that was good to see how well budget options can do for FPL managers. Like I said, Haaland only delivering 2 points where the majority of FPL managers actually captained him was a very disappointing return going in for Game Week 2. However, one of the star men of Game Week 2 was Mbeumo with 16 points for Brentford, which is a phenomenal return. Still, surprisingly, his ownership is only 20%, even though he has risen in price following that massive double-digit haul. United players still continue to disappoint, with Marcus Rashford only picking up 2 points, however still looking a threat in front of goal, but not converting any goals or assists yet. And Bruno Fernandes also had that 8.5 million price range, only delivering 1 point. So a lot of FPL managers are wondering what to do with Man United players, and I'll be going into that in this video as well. Looking for my Game Week 2 performance, it was a 47-point overall haul, which was only just slightly above the average of, I believe, 44. I'm sitting on 101 total points, and my rank is 5.2 million, which isn't the best, it has to be said. But hey, it means that this is just a difficult week to put past, and it just makes it more challenging, which means it's more fun for me personally. Ultimately, this is how the team stacked up. Flecken finally delivered with a clean sheet and 6 points, which I thought Brentford did have potential to do. So it's great to see him finally return some points. Again, Gabriel was within the team. Obviously, only came on late into the Arsenal game when they were down to 10 men and Arteta was looking to strengthen the defence. So only 1 point there. Super disappointing that obviously he's not starting. Chilwell, in that 3-1 loss to West Ham, only getting the 1 point as well, considering that he was brought in by me following the Reece James injury. So a disappointing return there. Estupiñán with a double-digit haul. This guy's absolutely on fire at the moment. If he's not in your team, what are you doing? He needs to be. He's absolutely phenomenal, and his price is continuing to rise. Disappointing return across the midfield, in all honesty. Saka with 3. And his compatriot at Arsenal getting a double-digit haul, Odegaard, with that penalty. Surprising, I think a lot of FPL managers were also surprised to see that Odegaard was the one to step up for the penalty there and not Saka. So that is definitely something to consider going forward. But I do still have faith in Saka. I think his attacking threat is really strong. He looks dangerous when he was on the ball. When he was coming in off the right-hand side, going into Palace, he always looked a threat. Like I mentioned, really disappointing for the Man United players, considering you've got 9 million for Rashford and 8.5 million for Bruno Fernandes. There's a lot of my budget in those two players who aren't doing anything at the moment. And again, although he was the focal point for Palace and a lot of play was going through him and he looked brilliant on the ball, only 2 points for him as well. So a real poor showing from the midfield overall. And like I said, as you can see from Fantasy Premier League's Team of the Week, it was really the budget options who really performed. Looking at the forwards, Haaland, he did get the armband, so he got 4 points for me. However, not what I was expecting against Newcastle. But Newcastle showed their strength in defence, with City only getting a 1-0 win. And a return for Ollie Watkins with another assist, 2 in a row for Game Week 1 and Game Week 2. And he nets me 5 points overall. Looking at where the team currently sits as well, I'm at 100.3 in terms of team value with 0.2 million in the bank, which I think is good to flex. I have made 2 transfers going into game week 3, and I have actually decided to take a -4. Now, this was something that I mulled over quite a lot, whether I wildcard or not. Why am I getting the certain players out that I did, which I'll come on to, but I've made the decision to take a -4 hit here because I think the players who I've replaced aren't going to be delivering in the next few game weeks, either because they're not playing, hint hint, it's Gabriel, and then also because fixture difficulty as well, which we'll come on to. So retaining in the sticks is Flecken, hoping for some solid performances from Brentford. They've got Crystal Palace at home, so this is another game where I think clean sheet potential is definitely there. He's only 2.3 selected, so it's a real differential. So I'm keeping my eye on how he performs. I've got my eyes on a few other keepers at the moment, just to see how they're doing. But I think for the money that he's saving me, being 4.5 million, he's worth keeping in there and not moving. Chelsea have Luton at home in game week 3, which I think is a fantastic fixture for Chelsea, where I think points will be in abundance, and I'm expecting a big Chelsea return here. The only thing I would say is that I don't have any other Chelsea assets going into this game, and that is worrying considering how much I think they're going to haul. Chilwell's looking still dangerous, 3.33 points per game at the moment, slightly low XG and assists. However, the West Ham game definitely impacts that, and I think he's got massive potential. Estupiñán remains in the side for obvious reasons. 62% selected through FPL teams. He's seriously dangerous. They've got West Ham at home, so it'll be interesting to see how West Ham perform coming off the back of the Chelsea win. But I do think even though I don't think Brighton will get a clean sheet, I expect Estupiñán to get attacking returns. My first transfer then is Gabriel has left my team. I think you could argue that given Tomiyasu's red card, Timber's injury, that their game this week is the game that he will start. However, I don't think he's a consistent player anymore. I think he's out of Arteta's plan in terms of a starting 11. And for me, that's not someone that I can consider I can keep carrying within the team. So I've made the switch to Kyle Walker. I made the move before Gabriel went down to 4.9 million. So I retained some value there and went to the City defender. Although his XG and assists is very low, his points per game is 4.83. I think Kyle Walker, based on where he operates in the field in terms of that really high line and the fact that he's played 90 minutes in both game week 1 and game week 2, I think he is one of the best City defenders to have in the team. Obviously, a lot of FPL managers have moved for Guardiola, Akanji, Diaz. However, I think rather than just relying on clean sheets, I think Kyle Walker has the best percentage for attacking returns given how high he operates and the minutes that he plays. So that is my first transfer. United assets, I'm giving them one more game week against Nottingham Forest at home. If there's any game that Man United should be getting goals and points returns, it has to be this game week. As you can see from his graph, his XG is 0.63, which is still really, really high. And Rashford has looked a massive goal threat. So if there's going to be 1 week that he does return, it's got to be this week. Moving on to the Arsenal assets, Odegaard and Saka remain in the team with their game at Fulham at home. I think Arsenal look fantastic in the way they're operating at the moment. They should have probably got more goals if it hadn't been for a very soft red card against Crystal Palace. So with the way that Fulham are playing, obviously coming off their 3-0 home loss to Brentford, again, I think this is another game where we can expect a high point scoring game for Arsenal. The second transfer is Eze out for Mbemu. For me, this is a transfer that I would say is near enough essential, really. This guy has been absolutely on fire. 1 goal per game, 9 points per game, an XG of 0.85. He is absolutely flying at the moment and really taking the reins of that Brentford team following Tony obviously not out of the team. I've caught him before his price rose to 6.7 million. So again, I retained, and I also moved Eze out before he reduced in price as well to 6.4 million, which was really the incentive for me to make these early moves. But with Crystal Palace at home, again, I think he can continue the great form that he's in and hopefully get me some attacking returns, hopefully getting 16 points again, which would be amazing. But still surprising to me that he's only owned by 20.6% FPL managers, whether that's because other FPL managers have Mitoma in their team or even Eze in that 6.5 million sort of bracket. I don't know, but I think given how he's playing, I thought his ownership would be much, much higher. Moving on to the forwards, Haaland and Watkins remain in the team. Sheffield United away for Haaland, Burnley away for Watkins. Watkins has got obviously his consistent returns with 2 assists in the last 2 game weeks. I'm hoping that Villa can break down the Burnley team and he can get some attacking returns and hopefully some goals. He scored a hat-trick in the week against Hibernia, which I'm hoping he can translate into game week 3 as well, but let's see. Man City obviously have Sheffield United away. I think Sheffield United are the team that will be relegated, 20th of the league. I think City can get a massive, massive haul here, and I'm hoping Haaland can really be the focal point for that as well. So overall, Haaland is going to get my captain's armband. Again, I think it's a very straightforward decision. A lot of my starting 11 have home fixtures, which always bodes well. However, I think keep the faith with Haaland. Obviously, a very disappointing return against Newcastle, but I think Sheffield United, as long as he gets a lot of minutes, he can really rack up the points. And the bench remains unchanged as it is. So guys, look, that's the team and how that shapes up for game week 3. I'm hoping to get a decent points haul. That's not happened in game week 1 or really game week 2. But I think given the strength of fixtures that this team has, I think it's a real potential for me to get some points. But guys, thank you very much for watching the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below in terms of me taking a 4-point hit. Do you think it was the right thing to do? Do you think the players that I've bought in are going to return points? Always interested to hear your thoughts, and tell me how you're shaping up for game week 3 as well. But guys, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Please subscribe. Really enjoying putting out content for you guys at the moment, and the response and the comments that I'm getting has been really, really supportive, so I massively appreciate it. But good luck for game week 3, and I'll catch you next time.